I have a lot to say. I'll say this at the beginning before we get to anything. Before we get to whose call was it really, before we get to potential replacements, before we get to where Mike Sullivan is going, his tenure here, his time here, the man and the coach himself deserve the ultimate praise and respect.
Indeed.
He had the greatest run of any coach in Penguins history. He's the most accomplished coach in Penguins history. You could make an argument for Badger Bob, which one was, the better coach in the history of this franchise. Badger Bob had to completely change a franchise culture and only had, tragically, the 1 year to do it. You could make that argument, but Sully, either way, you're talking about the most accomplished guy, brought cups back to Pittsburgh, transformed that team when Sidney Crosby may have been at the lowest point of his career. The Stars weren't getting it done. It looked like a lost season ahead, and in walked the boss, Sully, and took that team to back-to-back cups. So that's what I begin with today. I think there's a lesson for another team in town here, Bob, but that's where I have to begin as a standalone, is the ultimate praise and respect for Sully. It was time to go, past time in my opinion, but he deserves to be remembered forever as a guy who brought Stanley Cups, plural, to this town.
Yeah, not easy to do, especially when he took it over at the time and they were struggling, and then boom, everything changed based on, the situation with how his style complemented what they were trying to do. And hand in hand, when they first started, Jim Rutherford and Mike Sullivan worked together to accomplish that. And then some things changed along the way with, how the game is played, what you should do. Should you adjust to the game? Do you have enough players to play the kind of game you want to play? All that comes into conversation. But the number one thing about Mike Sullivan is he's the winningest coach in Penguins history, and he should be remembered as someone who delivered twice and took them, before this last little drought, into some serious playoff, series that could have gone either way. In fact, when Washington won that game, that was the end of it. But that year also, they were in position to make it potentially 3 in a row had things worked out, but they didn't. So his time here should be remembered in a very, very, very good way.
And then there's the current story, and the only thing I'd quibble with what you said is a little drought. It's been a long, long, long drought. They've missed the playoffs 3 years in a row. They were eliminated in the first round 4 straight times before that. That's 7 years in a row of underachievement. Only a coach who wins to the level he did would get that kind of leeway. And the message was lost. It's been lost for a long time. Penguins-friendly media told us how crazy it was that Mike Sullivan might want to go to the Rangers, and all the speculation was crazy. And, of course, he'll be back, and he should be back. And it's been my feeling for a long time, Bob, and I've said it right here, that it's just time to part ways, and it's okay. It's okay. The Patriots and Bill Belichick parted ways, for God's sakes. And it's a lesson for the other team in town here with Mike Tomlin.
I will say that the Rangers have made this very clear that he was on their list to begin with.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure, that's the kind of stuff that needs to happen. When somebody's really interested, they have openings, then there are other openings as well.
Sure, there's many openings.
He's one of those guys, which probably put him in a frame of mind of saying, all right, good. I have this interest. I know I'm going to get a job, and he'll probably be the highest paid coach in the history of the game when he gets that job.
Great. He's a great coach,
right.
a good coach right now.
That led to where we are now, I think.
He's not the right coach for here anymore.
No, I think like any coach has been for a long time, and I will include Mike Tomlin in that. After a while, it just gets to the point where a change could be necessary.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this case, whether it was Mike Sullivan forcing this issue or the Penguins, I'm not sure how that works. I heard Doran and Adam talk about it, that he had a list of demands.
Non-negotiables.
I want to hear what that demands were.
Oh, I would imagine, if I had to guess, Bob, the very first item on that list was, if that Carlson guy is still here next year, I'm not. That's just a guess.
But didn't you get the feeling that Mike Sullivan wanted him? I mean, I remember talking to him when that trade happened.
Oh, yeah, everybody wants him in August. The problem is in December, January, and February.
I understand that.
When he's given up chances, when he's creating chances.
Coming here knowing what kind of player he was.
Sure.
So he's complicit in that as well.
But then he had to live with him.